Well, good evening. Thanks for joining Your News Arizona. Sorry for the network difficulties. I got some live updates on our military that's on the U.S. Mexico borders in the Tucson sector and Yuma sector. So give me a second here. I got to make sure this is broadcasting live, and we'll get this show rolling. Okay, this time we got volume. So I had to hook up my Starlink real quick. Evidently, Facebook was blocking my signal from my IP. So everybody kept saying I had no volume on my last broadcast. So we're going to let this show roll. So, anyways, a lot of people were asking about our military troops down on the U.S. Mexico border and what's going on. And currently, I was not able to give a lot of information about it. I was asked not to, but I have been told I can share this much with you guys. So, active Army troops and military personnel are deployed to the U.S. Mexican border in the Tucson sector and the Yuma sector both, as part of the Department of Defense operation to support U.S. Customs and Border Protection and reinforce southern border security. So, the, their primary responsibilities and the reasons for their deployment include National Defense Area known as NDA operations. The Pentagon designated a stretch of land near the Yuma sectors and the Tucson sectors both. In Yuma, as a military buffer zone, this designation allows military personnel to conduct security operations just as they would at an active base. Detention and deterrence. Troops are authorized to temporarily stop and detain individuals who cross the border unlawfully or trespass on federal military property, later handing them over to Border Patrol agents for processing. Border fortification. Soldiers and Marines have been tasked with installing and reinforcing physical barriers such as concertina wire and walls to secure vulnerable gaps in remote areas. So those gaps, folks, those are the gaps where we were covering with you, where the Biden administration ordered the Army Corps of Engineers to remove sections of Trump's wall. So they are reinforcing it, sealing up the gaps, putting in concertina wire. You name it, it's going in. Right now, Donald Trump, I can tell you right now, folks, has declared war on the cartel. Many of you guys were already aware of it. A lot of people said, oh, we're not at war. Well, I can tell you right now, we are at war, folks. Um, so, anyways, deployments to the rejoin operate under Joint Task Force Southern Border and include both temporary personnel from units like the military, police, and troops utilizing the massive U.S. Yuma Proving Ground. So what's going on the Yuma Proving Ground? That's about 20 miles outside of Yuma. So just to give you guys an update, that's being strictly used as a training facility right now. For a good example, we got the 101st Airborne that's on the ground on our borders right now. They're also using this for the training grounds. And this is for the new recruits that's going to be working the borders. So the United States executive branch has formally bypassed the traditional congressional declaration of war by classifying transnational drug cartels as unlawful combatants engaged in a non international armed conflict. Can't express that enough, folks. So, again, anybody that thinks our borders right now are secure, they're far from being secure. We have a cartel that wants to infiltrate America. They want to bring their fentanyl and the drugs across the border, as well as the human trafficking. Right now, what we are doing is we're actually shutting down a multi-trillion-dollar operation on our borders. And anybody that doesn't believe that's how much money the cartel makes off of America, you better rethink it. You look at the tens of thousands of people that were being trafficked through our borders on a daily basis. We're talking women and children. These women and children were being used and sent all over to sex houses here in America, being used for child labor, um, just human trafficking up the yin yang. This has been nonstop. So the shift the shifting legal framework, executive directives, and ongoing operations driving this conflict break down as follows. Executive rationals and legal strategy. The armed conflict framework is the White House issued a notification to Congress shifting the status of cartel members from criminal suspects to unlawful combatants. This legal rationale enables the U.S. military to use lethal force under the laws of armed conflict without requiring a formal congressional declaration of war. All I got to say to that is hallelujah. Foreign Terrorist Organization, FTO it stands for. Designations. The administration formally designated major Latin America crime syndicates as FTOs. This reclassification expands executive war powers and redirects counterterrorism assets towards the cartels. Unilateral strike positions executing operations without prior authorization under the War Powers Act has faced pushback from lawmakers. We couldn't expect anything different. However, the executive branch maintains that a formal declaration from Congress is unnecessary to carry out targeted strikes. So again, folks, the war is here on American soil, and we are going to war with the cartel. War has already been declared. Any of you guys that don't want to believe it, you know what? Do a little extra research of what I'm telling you. Google, why don't you Google search, Donald Trump really authorized the U.S. military to go to war against the cartel? The answer is 100% yes. And it's about damn time. Maritime operations. The U.S. military has executive lethal strikes against suspected drug smuggling vessels in international waters. That many of you guys have already seen, where we have been knocking out drug boats and ships that have been trafficking fentanyl and every drug in the book, as well as guns and you name it. Notably off the coast of Venezuela. These operations utilize advanced naval assets, fighter jets, specialized deployment units. Escalation to land strikes. Directives signed by the executive branch establish a blueprint for potential direct military operations on foreign soil. That includes Mexico, folks. Warnings have been issued regarding potential unilateral land strikes against drug factories and cartel infrastructures within Mexico and Colombia. So if you folks know what that means, I highly recommend you not to be traveling to Mexico at this point in time. Again, we've got mass amounts of military force on our borders right now. And I'm going to tell you folks right now, it's a matter of time before all hell breaks loose. It's coming. International coalition. The White House announced the formation of the America's Counter Cartel Coalition. This agreement involves defense representatives from 17 nations pledging to operationalize hard power against regional criminal syndicates. So, we can go on and on and on, folks. So I'm going to be down on the U.S.-Mexico border starting tomorrow. I'm going to be there with our troops. I'm also going to be there with Russ Clark from AM 560 Radio out of Yuma. And he's going to be on the borders with me as well. And we're also going to be going to the border checkpoints. I'm also going to be touring several areas of the border over the 4th of July weekend. So I'm going to ask all you folks, please keep our troops in your thoughts and prayers. Please keep our team in your thoughts and prayers. And I can't express that enough. So other than that, if you folks have any questions, you can call into my studio, 928-385-4738. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that I'm allowed to answer. And other than that, I'm going to Take a look here, make sure I don't have any comments. Anyhow, if you guys can go ahead and pass this out, get it out there to the world, let them know what's happening, I'd greatly appreciate it. And again, this is not some game or anything else. Shit's getting real, folks. And let me get back to my report here for you. Okay, at this point in time, that's all I'm really going to share with you guys until we are actually on the ground on the border. I might be able to share this one last story with you. So just to let you guys know also, this came out back in October of 2025. For those of you guys that weren't paying attention to my reporting back then, telling you that we were going to go to war against the cartel, and everybody kept saying, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? Blah, blah, blah is here. And so, right here, I'm going to read one of the reports from October 2025 that I just researched for you guys. Trump declares armed conflict against cartels. And that was October 3rd of 2025 at 9:48 a.m. Welcome to the Daily News Briefing. Flagship morning newsletter summarizing the top level, top of the agenda. In a confidential memo, sorry about that, to Congress this week, Trump declared that the United States is in an armed conflict with drug cartels and will treat their members as unlawful combatants, multiple news outlets reported. It marks a sweeping assertion of war powers without prior congressional approval. Lawmakers from both parties had called for the Pentagon to provide legal justification for its recent deadly strikes on boats near Venezuela during a closed-door meeting on Wednesday. The White House claimed without providing evidence that the boats carried drug traffickers. Well, rest assured, folks, those had drug traffickers on them. The details under international law. Countries in an armed conflict can kill enemy fighters and detain them without trial. A major step beyond the legal framework on drug trafficking, which typically allows suspects to argue their case in court. The Trump administration had already moved beyond the framework for drug trafficking by designating some Latin American drug groups as terrorists. That's including the Mexican cartel. And let's see. In the week's memo, referred back to those designations, but it did not specify the names of the cartels. I can tell you right now, Sinaloa cartel is one of them on the list. And neither did the Pentagon. Officials who briefed lawmakers this week, the memo also did not disclose the standards the U.S. government would use to decide whether someone is sufficiently connected to a cartel to warrant targeting. Blah, blah, blah. The context, Trump's legal argument echoes the argument the Bush administration made when declaring war against Al-Qaeda, after the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. However, Congress debated and authorized military force in that case, and legal experts have highlighted differences between the threat posed by the Al-Qaeda compared to that of the drug smuggling organizations. So folks, we've got more than just drug smuggling. We have, like I said, we got human trafficking, we've got drug trafficking, we have the cartel that has brutally beheaded hundreds and hundreds of people. They are a terrorist organization. Call them what they are. And, for Trump to declare war on them, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just going to say it, wipe them off this planet. Anybody that doesn't care about human life, and is executing people and beheading people. As far as I'm concerned, they don't deserve to be on this earth. So, anyhow, like I said, we got a lot in the works. I will be live on the border, and we'll be meeting with the military troops. Hope you guys can stay tuned for that. And I'll announce it 30 minutes before I go live tomorrow on the border. That'll give me time to get my Starlink set up. And other than that, I just wanted to keep you guys updated because I kept promising you guys I'd keep you posted once I was allowed to broadcast certain information. And we got some other information going out tomorrow that we are not going to share here tonight until we're down there. So, all right, guys, hope everybody has a happy and safe 4th of July weekend. Again, please keep our troops in your thoughts and prayers, and keep my team in your thoughts and prayers. So, God bless all you guys. I'll see you live from the U.S.-Mexico border. Good night.